Hello everyone, welcome to my third video in the series on basic economic concepts. So what we're going to be looking at today, and what I briefly covered in the first video, is actually valuing time in comparison to valuing quantity, and how the concepts are a little bit different in terms of how we value things and how we gain utility out of them. Do we gain utility by having more of something, or do we gain more utility by having that, I guess, our involvement with it is greater? Like, for example, one person may have 10 cars, another person may have 1 car, but the person with 10 cars never gets to use or see or whatever with the cars, because they could be, working all the time, or they could be constantly traveling and stuff like that. So utility from actual usage is actually diminished, compared to a person who's got 1 car, who may actually enjoy his car all the time. He's with his car, he's cleaning his car, he's driving his car, his car becomes a big part of his life. So you can see there's a difference in terms of actually having time with something and actually having a larger quantity. So this is what we're going to cover off in today's presentation. So, well, what is it when we mean by time? So basically time, you look at it and what I'm referring to here is the experience that we have. So it's like someone who works very, very long hours, let's say they work 12-hour days, are going to have less time to experience and enjoy some of the things that they may have acquired. Like, they may have a really nice sofa at home, but they don't get that experience because they basically home into bed and all that. They don't have time to sit down and relax. So again, you're not getting that utility or comfort out of it simply because you're engaged with other things and doing other things. So a person that, well, maybe works a 2-hour job or something, would actually spend far more time on his sofa. Someone who's unemployed may actually spend more time and actually get more utility out of that sofa. So again, though, then if you're unemployed, you may not be able to afford a sofa. So it's all about a balancing act. Again, like I talked about in our first 2 presentations, you've got to make a choice in how you want to spend your time and how you want to maximize your utility. So a good example is food. So you get something nice to eat and it's enjoyable. So we've got here a picture of a acai bowl. I enjoy acai bowls. Not everybody enjoys acai bowls, but I like acai bowls. You've got lots and lots of fruit in there, and there's little acai berries sort of ground up into this like cold frozen paste, and with a few other things, bananas and all that, and it's really good to eat. So you get that utility from initially eating it, and that may only last for, how long does it take to eat an acai bowl? Let's say 10 minutes, let's say. You get that enjoyment, but it doesn't necessarily end there. You also get enjoyment afterwards as well, in terms of, well, it's a healthy food to start with, so you may have health benefits going up through your whole life, and also you're going to get energy out of it. If you don't eat, well, that's with any food, you're going to have low energy, you're not going to want to do anything, and you're going to get hunger pains. So again, the benefits of eating food goes well beyond the actual dish you've got on your plate. You've got to bear that in mind as well. That, okay, I have no time to eat, for example, but then you may be working really hard, but you're not going to be as comfortable if you've got hunger pains. The same thing is if you overeat as well. If you eat too much, then you're going to lose value as well. So again, you've got to look at it in terms of there's returns to you. There's also diminishing returns to utility as well. And that often comes afterwards, especially within food. If you have eaten the wrong food and you've been eating unhealthy, if you've been eating lots of fatty food or eating lots of sugary food and stuff like that, you have a loss of utility afterwards, and often that's not factored into our decisions. We're often thinking about the now in terms of, oh, this tastes good, let's eat it, rather than the benefits that come afterwards and the utility that you get out of that. Again, another scenario is if we look at a car, for example. Do you want to get a fancy sports car, or do you want to get a more basic car? Like we've got here, I think it's a Bugatti and a Yaris. Essentially, they perform the same function. You want to get from A to B. One obviously looks a lot more classy than the other one, and a lot more fancy, and you're going to have your friends going, ooh. And again, you've got to factor that into your utility as well. You're making a statement about, hey, look at this, I have a sports car. I'm successful, and you get utility from that. So, but how much do you value that utility, and how long does that last? And if you fill your life with all of these luxury goods, it could be any number of things, It could be the fancy house. It could be you've got a great looking garden. It could be the fancy watch on your wrist. I have a watch. well, not on me now. It could be the jewellery that you're wearing. It could be the clothes. It could be any number of things. But again, there's going to be a certain amount of diminishing the utility from that. And bearing in mind as well, the fancy car is going to cost a lot more than the Yaris. I think the Bugattis, what are they, about over $1 million. A Yaris maybe 15, 20,000. So again, it's that comparison and the cost forgotten. So in order to obtain that Bugatti, what does that mean? You're going to have to spend money. But more importantly, what do you have to sacrifice to get money? And that could be time spent away from doing other things. Another thing is gambling. That's an interesting one as well. It may be fun at the time, but if you spent all your money, and if you've been losing, that's not an awful lot of fun, and it can be addictive and so on. So again, what maybe give you pleasure initially may actually give you pain and suffering further down the road. Take for example as well, if you buy a television. I'm not here promoting televisions and all that, but people generally use televisions. They get the television, okay, you have a nice television, they put it down there, and they use it, they watch their Netflix, they watch their the regular TV shows, you could be watching cable, you could be playing games and stuff like that. So there's a certain level of utility out of it. You compare that with the Mona Lisa. Some people may prefer Mona Lisa. Well, I didn't say Mona Lisa, let's just say artwork, a very nice piece of artwork. And some people might prefer a nice piece of artwork over a television. Well, if they're not going to spend time watching the television, then the television would have very little utility there. But a good piece of artwork, there's that sense of satisfaction, I guess, of actually owning a particular piece, knowing it's been in your home, knowing that you can actually, walk past it on your wall and look at it and think, hey, I have this art. And also, if you're a collector, there's a certain utility you gain out of a collection and maintaining collections. So again, it's making those comparisons, and it's on a personal basis as well. But again, how many pieces of artwork do you want, How many televisions do you want? And how do you use, you could have 5 televisions, you obviously can't use 5 televisions all at the same time, can you? So again, over a period of time, you're going to be getting satisfaction mostly out of the one. And it could be for other family members, but then we're talking about their utility. And again, with artwork as well, there may be a certain amount of... Again, if it's a collection, you'll get additional benefit from having a larger collection. So again, it's an interesting comparison. Also, you have to bear in mind, if you're out there and you're earning money, that you may be doing something you don't enjoy. If you're very fortunate, you could be doing something that you love and you're very dedicated to, and you actually get enjoyment from working. But if you're working, you're doing anything along those lines, it generally comes at a price in terms of it's time away from doing things that you may enjoy more. Even if you enjoy your job, there's often things we enjoy doing more. Or you could be away from people that you care about, away from your family and all that, at the expense of what you do for your job. Your job gives you money, so we're assuming that the money that you earned can be used to enhance your life outside of your job and to a certain extent within your job. But it does come to a point though, if you dedicate your whole life to working and there's no life outside of work, what value does that money, that sacrifice have? Well, what is the point if you have all this money, you buy a massive mansion and you don't spend any time in that mansion? So again, here's the time factor. So again, if you have a mansion but you're never there, the utility from that mansion doesn't come so much from the usage of that mansion, but it's more of a psychological thing that, hey, I own the mansion, I have a mansion, I can go to a mansion if I need to. I don't because I'm always working, but there's that side of utility as well. But how long can that last? How much of the time can you have that? You'd be wrapped around the activities you do and you won't be necessarily thinking about that all the time. So some people might be able to, some might not, but it's a balancing act and how you can stretch that utility out over time. So, okay, I've just made a list here. What utility do we receive from something? So once you get something, you get initial utility. Like you buy something, it's like, ooh, I bought something, that's great. You have that feeling, that rush. Generally, that doesn't last too long. So then we move from the utility from usage. So as I mentioned before, you have a television. So I'll talk about a refrigerator this time. You get a refrigerator, you're probably not usually overexcited that you bought a refrigerator. It's an appliance, people don't tend to, but usage-wise, is actually very important. People use refrigerators all the time. I have a refrigerator in the other room there. It's keeping my stuff cold, keeping my stuff from going bad. So In that sense, I'm getting utility, not directly from the refrigerator, but it's related to what I get out of the refrigerator. And that takes me to my next point, utility added to other activities or other things. So the refrigerator, for example, I have something in the fridge. It would have gone off if it wasn't in the fridge for 2 days, but now I can have it in there for 5 days, and that actually gives me time to actually fully consume it. So I'm getting additional utility from whatever I'm putting in that fridge. Let's say it might be a spread or something that would go off in a few days. Now it has a few extra days, so I'm getting extra utility out of that and all the other things that's within that fridge. So the fridge is actually adding utility to other things. And again, it works over time. Like a fridge might last me 10 years. So I'll be getting extra utility out of all the stuff that goes in my fridge for 10 years. Sounds great, doesn't it? Next thing, psychological utility of ownership or accomplishment. So then we could be talking about things like buying the fancy car, getting the nice dress, getting the fancy watch. It's to show that, hey, I've accomplished this, so I'm actually showing to others my sense of accomplishment, and it makes me feel good to show that off. So you've got a psychological gain from that. Some others will feel it more than I don't feel that I need to show my achievements through actually acquiring things. That's personally, but for some people, they actually gain quite a bit of utility out of that. On the downside, though, of acquiring something that's actually very special to you, that gives you psychological utility, there also comes the fear of loss or damage. So, for example, you get that fancy car, you get your Bugatti, your Ferrari, or whatever. You may be reluctant to actually enjoy the usage side of it, because you go and take it out, you take it to the park. You might be afraid that someone's going to scratch it, someone's going to key it, someone's going to bump it, or whatever. So there's that fear of damage and that fear of loss. So again, that also has to bear in mind, and you'll have that throughout the whole life of the car, well, as long as the car's in good condition, shall we say. So ideally, if it's something special, you'd keep it for the whole life. There's also the sacrifice as well of utility I mentioned before. So if you're whenever you get something, it always comes at a cost. So we talked in our previous video, so in order to enjoy a coconut, you have to spend the time to go out and collect that coconut. So in a scenario where we have money, you need to have the money to actually go and acquire that. And in most cases in today's society, you need money for practically everything. So for example, you could be earning $100 an hour, let's say. So if you wanted to get something that was worth $1,000, in a sense, you're sacrificing 10 hours, which could have been used elsewhere. So basically the moral of the story really is, you've got to think about what you get out of something before you commit to dedicating that money to it, or dedicating, should I say, that time in order to acquire it. Because the way I'm looking at things here is, in the market we use money to buy things, but in order to acquire money, we generally have to give up time to actually earn that money. And most people generally don't, I wouldn't say love their work, but they have alternative activities they'd rather be doing rather than working. So there is that sacrifice of those activities. And especially if you're working excessively, that sacrifice can be significantly larger. Okay, thank you for listening to today's presentation. If you liked it, just click the like button. And if you want to see more of these videos, I'll be uploading a few more in fairly soon, so you can hit the subscribe button, and that will inform you of when I'm actually uploading these videos. Again, thank you, and I'll see you soon.